Welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk today about how to set up two-tone paging. This is the analog side of this pager in the G5, G4 Unication pager. This would be for listening to an analog paging channel and doing the alerting from the two-tone setup. So we're going to start as if you are starting from scratch. If you already have a file started, this will be similar, but we'll do a couple extra steps to start a new file. So first we're going to open up the software. You go to tab C where you see create profile for user group, and then you can do one of three things like we talked about in the first video. We will do a create a new profile, but you can also read a profile from your device. So if you already have a file started, I would read it from your device to make sure you have the most up-to-date file, or if you have a new pager, you can read it from the device. That way you make sure you have the settings correct and that you have a base template to work off of. So we're going to go up here to create new profile, and what you want to do is select the model of your pager. So you'll see here the starting of these models start with G2, G4, there's only one for G4, and then there's G5. And so the pager I'm going to be programming is the G5, and then this is my model number. I know that because I've read it out. It's also located on the pager underneath the battery. So we're going to select that, and then come down to the select button down on the bottom of the screen and select. It'll ask me to verify that that's the correct model number, and we're going to go yes. So now we're going to open up in the software basically all the parameters that we can put into the pager. So this is a new template that it is starting. You'll see on the right side here all the help files, or help information, if you will. Anytime you click on a field, it'll highlight on the right side of the screen information regarding that field, what you can put in it, possible ranges of numbers, frequencies, tones, things like that. Just a quick help versus using just the user guide. So the user guide's a little bit more in depth, but this is a great way to get quick information about a field that you're not sure exactly what you need to be doing. So we can name this group here. So we can name it new template. And then that'll show up when we look at the view existing profiles. It'll show up as new template there. The first thing we're going to want to do is go to the frequency system settings. This is where we're going to put in our analog frequency for the two-tone paging. One thing I like about this software is it's all in order. So each step builds off of the step above it. So you got to make sure you create your code plug or your template here, and then we have to create our frequency, and then set our protocol, and so on and so forth. And then by the time we get to the end, we're ready to program the pager. So what we'll do is we will put in a page channel. We'll just label it, page. And we can put in whatever frequency we want. And we'll want to set whether it's wideband or narrowband. Everything around here is narrowbanded right now, so we'll leave that alone. So that's one frequency. If we wanted to add multiple frequencies, if you have maybe two channels that are doing paging, maybe you want to get pages of a neighboring department from another county, you can put a secondary page channel in here, or even just maybe your fire channel or your law channel. You can add those frequencies in here. So we can add a couple different ones. That way, once you get the page, you can switch to another function and you can scan these other frequencies. Alright, so we put 3 frequencies in there. Alright, so we got the frequencies set up. Now we'll go down to protocol settings, tab number 3. So in here, right now you don't see any protocols. And this is what tells the pager whether you're listening to an analog channel, whether it's listening for two tones, a conventional P25 channel, or a P25 trunking. So I'll add a new protocol here, and then we'll select the setting. So we're going to do two-tone, and we can name it. So we can name it two-tone, so that way we know later on. You can do some in here. You can change what type of parameters. So if you're using different types of two-tones, and this would be something, if you're not sure, one thing you can read out a previous pager that's been programmed, because it'll say one of these types of tones, or to contact your system administrator. They would also know what type of tones it's using. Most commonly, it's either going to be user-defined or Motorola. So we're going to go user-defined, and this way we can set it however we want, but this is the most commonly, is the first tone is 1000 and the second tone is 3000 milliseconds, or 3 seconds and 1 second. We can add another protocol here, and we could add P25 trunking if we wanted to. We're not going to do anything with that, but that just shows how you can add the other protocols. So the next thing we're going to do is going to go to group ID settings. So our first group is going to be our fire page. So whatever you want this alias to say when you get your tone, your page, you want to type in your alias. So you could say fire page, something like that. And then you can select the different tones that you want the pager to play when the actual tone comes off. And then whether or not you want voice storage. Relay control, that is for if you're using the Unication bass that you can get, the bass amplifier. It's got a relay in it that can trip warning lights, a siren, a door, several different things, basically anything for that. So then we'll set our tones. We can choose either short, which would be an A and a B tone, or the long tone. So if we choose long, we can go 634 or 5. There we go. Now we have a long tone of 634.5 hertz. We can add an additional one. Let's say you're also on EMS, or you want to hear the EMS tones as well. We can add those tones. We'll record those, yes. And that one will be 635.5 and 1281. Oops. There we go. Now, as you can see, there's also a talk group ID here. That is based off of the protocols. So every time we add a protocol, there will be a new field that shows up, and it'll eventually get longer and longer. So you have 2 tones, you could have 5 tone, you could have P25 trunking ID, and then there's also going to be one that's P25C, and that stands for the P25 conventional talk group ID, because you can have talk groups on P25 conventional as well. So we have our tone set up. We will move down to zone and channel name settings. So they call this a zone, and traditionally on most pagers we never had more than 4 settings, an A, B, C, and D, like on the Minitor 5s, or on the Minitor 6 we now have some more selections, but we don't have zones. So in this pager we can put up to 128 zones in it of 8 positions. So there's a lot of options you can do. Most people aren't going to have that many. So we can put our first zone of, we can name it, we'll just leave it zone 1 for now. We can name it whatever you want. Within, I want to say it's 8 letters. So let's go back a second. So just double click on whichever knob position you want. So there's 8 positions just like before with the A, B, C. D, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it still works like a pager, but it's got some functionality that's similar to a radio now too. So this first one will do what's called selective call. That's what they refer to when they're talking about you want it to trip when the tones are going off, but you want it to be silent unless your tones are called. So we will call this fire page. We will make sure our paging channel is selected, and then we'll select our protocol type. So CSQ means that it's not going to listen for the tones. It's always going to be playing any traffic that comes out over the channel. So we're going to want to use two-tone. And we're not going to want to use a CTCSS or anything like that because you want to make sure you get the best possible decode. We can set our audio squelch if we only want it to trip on really strong signals in case you're having an interference issue or something like that. We can change our reset mode. And as you can see over on the right side of the screen, every time I'm selecting one of these modes, it highlights the different options on the right side in the help and tells me what they will do and what they won't do. So for me, I typically use auto reset. The other good one is a delay reset. Basically, after so many seconds, if there's no carrier or transmission that the pager's seen anymore, it will reset it. So that one based off of like a 5-second or the auto reset are usually pretty good ones to go to. The other one a lot of people like is manual reset, because that one will keep the pager open and listening. It won't mute the pager until you actually hit the reset button on the pager. So then push to listen. The one thing to make sure if you do this is unless you hit the button, you will not hear anything on the pager. So if you want the pager to alert and then hear the page, you do not want to turn this on. This is a better option for if you're setting this function up to be a vibrate only or a silent pager function for when you're in a restaurant or at a play or something like that, where you don't want your pager to start beeping in the middle of everything. Voice storage, we can enable that globally for anything on this channel, on or off, and then set tone only or vibrate only, silent, or tone and vibrate. I usually set mine for tone and vibrate, but everyone's got their own preferences. And then down here we will see the two tones that we created earlier. Now we can select which ones we want, so we'll enable these. Now we also have the off-duty and the priority settings as well. So in the pager, in the menu, you can select whether you're on duty or off duty. And so you can have if your department has separate sets of tones for a duty crew or a backup crew, things like that, you can set your off duty for your backup tones. That way they'll only go off. You won't hear the duty crews if you're saying you're off duty or vice versa. So, all right, so we can save that. And then you will see up here in position 1, it's telling us what we got set up there. We have fire page is our alias. It's set up for selective call, two-tone. We got 2 sets of tones on it. And then it's listing the fire as our two-tone there. It's not listing the EMS. So knob 2, we could do monitor mode. So we could do page channel. And up here, this is just the voice prompt, whether or not you want that on or off. If you set it to none, otherwise there's a global setting underneath pager configuration settings where you can just turn the voice prompts off altogether. So we'll do this. We'll set this to page, set it to CSQ or carrier squelch. And then if your paging system has a tone, we can set that up. And now the pager will alert on that channel, or you can switch it to channel 2 and listen to everything that comes out on that. And we can do the same thing for your fire channel. See, carrier squelch. And we'll save that. Now, since we've put those in there, we can do what's called either a normal or a priority scan. Now if you want to make sure that you're getting your tones, I would suggest doing a priority scan. So we'll do scan, just call it scan, turn that off. And as you see, we only have 3 available channels in here. You have to put a channel in a zone and in one of the functions like we did with the monitor mode in order to have it available in a scan list. So we can add fire page and we can add fire channel. We can also add the page channel. Now out of those 3 we can select a priority channel. Since our fire page has our paging tones on it, we want to select that, and then we can have it sampling at basically a look back during those other, if there's traffic on those other channels. And then same alert modes and things like that can be set up down here. We can match the CTCSS digital coded squelch, and then also what type of alert we want, if it's just a tone or vibrate as well. At the top here we can switch between our knobs. So I'm just gonna, instead of saving down here, I'm gonna move over to knob 4, from 4 to 5 real quick. We're gonna add one more in monitor mode. Now you see how on knob 4 we only have these available here. Page, fire, and page. However, now knob 1.5 has shown up here as well. It's because we just added one. So we're going to set this as the law channel. Put the, carrier squelch, tones, 141.3, and we can save. So now you see that one there. Go back to knob 4. So now you see that the law showed up. So even though we had put that channel up here in the frequency system settings, it wouldn't show up here until we added it to a zone. Now if you have 3 or 4 zones here and you have several channels in them that you want to scan, you don't have to have a scan list in each zone. The scan list could be in any one of those zones, but include all of those channels. So, alright. So now we can go down here to pager function list. Most of the default settings in here will be fine. We'll go through these a little bit later, but like I said, if you select any one of these, you can see the actual what they will do or not do over here on the right side of the page. And then same thing with the device function settings. Now these are all things that you can actually change in the pager while you're using it as well. You don't have to do a lot of these. You can do without having to do it in the actual programming. So that's a very nice feature of these pagers. They can be as in depth or as basic as you want them to be. So that makes it simple. So then we can go down to pager configuration settings. This one's gets a little bit more in depth in how you want things to work. You can really customize it. Different timings for the screen, images, alerts, how long they happen, things like that. And then also the display we can change here as well. Different options that are available in the list, what shows up where, things like that. And then we can go down to profile detail report, and this takes a couple seconds to compile depending on the size of your template that you set. So we can look here and see that we have this pager, this model number. We got a 7800 VHF, and then we can scroll down a little bit. We could see our frequencies here. We only got 3 frequencies in here. We don't have any trunking systems in here yet, other than the default one. And then we have the protocols. These are the default settings we put in for two-tone. And then the group list. So these are the two-tones we have in here. And then you can see the channels that we set up in zone 1. So now you can print this, or we can just close out. So we'll just close out here. We don't need to print that. Then we can go and view, edit, view, edit existing profile. We see the new template we created. Double click on it. We'll go down here at the bottom of all these tabs to program. Now you see we have our pager already hooked up here, and we'll hit program. And there you go. Programmed successfully. So after doing that, we will have a pager that's ready to listen for your fire or EMS call.